I had someone on my show yesterday ask a really good question about hygrometers and humidors. And since I was going through this process right now with my hygrometers, I wanted to share with you uh, what I'm doing to calibrate them. So, just to fill in those who don't necessarily know what a hygrometer is, a hygrometer measures the humidity inside your humidor. And this is important because you're supposed to keep your cigars at around 70 degrees humidity and at 70% humidity and at about 70 degrees in Fahrenheit in terms of temperature. The reason for this is that that's the natural humidity and temperature that the leaves that make up the cigars tend to grow in, and it's the best temperature for keeping them moist and keeping them from cracking. It improves the flavor, makes them burn better, yada yada yada. So what you need to do is you need to have a device in your humidor that accurately measures the temperature and the humidity. Now, all three of these are hygrometers. This is an analog hygrometer, and these are both digital hygrometers, and you can get them on Amazon or anywhere else. I'll actually link to my favorite ones in the description of this video. But the problem is that when you get them, they're not necessarily calibrated correctly. So what you need to do is you need to get something like this. This is a one-step calibration kit, and it hinges on a very stable principle, which is that when water is added to salt and it's placed in an enclosed container, that the humidity level of that container will always be at 75%. So knowing that, we can place our hygrometers inside that same closed container, give it a little bit of time, and we'll know that if the measurement is off, we can actually correct it. So what I've done is I placed all three of these hygrometers in this bag for about 30 hours, and this is set to 75%, of course, the humidity standard, so we know that if these don't read correctly, that I'm going to have to make some adjustments. So that top one is at 75%. All right, that's great. So we know that that one is calibrated correctly. This one, which is the exact same type of hygrometer, is at 46%. So we know that we really need to calibrate that one. And then this one, the analog, is close. It's at 80%. So it's about, well, no, it's like at 79%. So it's about 4% off, and we need to adjust these. So I'm going to show you how to adjust each of these. But what's going to happen is when we pull these out of the container, we're going to lose the humidity that's in there. So we need to record where the humidity is at right now, so we'll know exactly by what percent to reduce or increase the number later. And that's what I've done there. I've got them written on there. So I'm going to pull this out, and forgive me ahead of time, I only have two hands, so I'm going to figure out a way to open the bag. There, take a look at some wood. There, enjoy that wood. Okay, so remember, this was at 46%. We're doing the digital one now. This was at 46%, and we need to get to 75. So there's this adjusting knob, which you crank to the right to increase. Now the numbers aren't going to update, so you really have to remember exactly how much you're going up. 40, 50, 60, 70. So we're going up 30, 29 clicks. So okay. So this is why I don't like digital hygrometers. I have twisted this knob all the way to the right, and it only went up 16 clicks, which is not enough to calibrate this correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in our container, and we're going to see what happens to it when I close it up again. But here we are with our analog one, and I've always preferred analog hygrometers. Just because they're easier to work with, they don't take batteries. You calibrate it once, you won't have to calibrate it again, at least not for 3 to 6 months or so, and they work forever. So what we need to do to calibrate this is we need to take off this metal backing. To do that, you get yourself one of these tiny little screwdrivers, like so. It's a tiny little screwdriver, and we are going to pry open the backing. And I'm just going to do that and show you what I find. This is what you find on the inside of an analog hygrometer, at least on the one that I have. Now there's this metal tab here which you need to lift up. So let's lift up the metal tab. And that reveals a tension screw. So all you have to do is adjust that screw to the right or the left until it reads what you need it to. There you go. So right now it reads 50, and that's because it's gone down by a lot. I mean, you can see how quickly this thing works. It was at 80, and now it's at 50. I only twisted it down a little bit, and I watched this thing go. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put it back in the bag, and we're going to have to wait a couple hours just to see if it goes back up to the appropriate measurement. So this is not an easy task. It doesn't happen quickly. It's a lot of experimenting, and it takes a little bit of time. But we do know that this one in here was set to the exact right percent. So I'm going to take that out. It no longer needs to be calibrated. I'm going to close this bag up again, and we're going to watch the humidity go up. And hopefully we can get a new measurement by which to calibrate it again. So you don't have to necessarily wait 24 hours. For example, with the analog one, you can usually wait an hour and it'll measure things correctly. But just to be on the safe side, it's good to wait 24 hours. So once you've got your calibrated hygrometer, open up your humidor, and you can... Some of them come with an adhesive backing, and I've found that these tend to fall off a lot. And you can affix it there, which looks really nice, but I'm just going to set this down in there. And that will give me an accurate measurement as to the humidity level inside my humidor so that I can make the necessary changes. This is what I'm currently using as the primary source of humidification for my humidor. And I like these the best because they blow up into little balls and they don't look messy, and it's really easy to tell when you need to refill it with distilled water. And then because I think the humidity in here is just overall really low, I have another one right here, and this is the crystal kind. And when these get low, they look really ratty and they get really small, and sometimes the tar from the cigars will discolor the crystals to this really nasty sort of amber color over time, especially when they dry out. So I'm just using this as a temporary thing to get the humidity level up in my humidor, but I prefer something that looks like this. You can get these on Amazon. They also have black ones that come with black crystals instead of balls, and those are also really nice. And then, as I said in another video, one of the ways to charge your humidor before you put your cigars in it, when you're really trying to get things calibrated, is you take a sponge that has never been used before, you soak it in distilled water, and you wipe down the walls of the cedar in your humidor just once, you know? Then you close it, you let the cedar soak it all up, and then you might do it a second time just to kind of charge the humidor, to season it. And then from then on out, you want to use something like this and make sure to refill it with distilled water. So there you go. That's how you calibrate your hygrometers.